We continue to honor the life of Reverend Jesse Jackson. He was a civil rights leader and he died at the age of 84. He's from Greenville, South Carolina, made major moves in his life, helping so many people. His message was just for everyone to come together. So joining us now is Johnson C. Smith University President, Dr. Valerie Kinloch. Thank you so much for being here, Valerie. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. What is this impact, especially, for your campus in general? How are you guys feeling today?
It's a bittersweet moment because Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson, he visited our campus in 1983, and he actually spoke to our university community about various topics, particularly voter registration, and how we involve more people of color, particularly Black people, in the political process. And so we're saddened. It is a legacy that will continue to live on, and one that left us a blueprint for how to really think about change in this world.
We've spoken to a lot of different Charlotte leaders right here, and I've asked them all the same thing: is how did he shape where you are today, and did he have any influence on why you wanted to become a leader?
That's a great question. And I will say I would be surprised if he didn't shape so many of our perspectives in terms of leading in this country, in this world. The one thing that I will say is he founded Operation Push. And I think one of the primary goals for Operation Push was to really think about how do we unite? How do we actually unite and focus on humanity and the different aspects of humanity? How do we think about Black voter registration and participation, but also thinking about engagement? And when I think about Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson, I really think about the ideals of leadership. How is it that we push for the type of community and the type of society and hence world that we all should live in, participate in, engage in? For me personally, he was foundational to how I think about leading. Being a protege himself of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, being able to understand what a beloved community is, but also being able to understand how to lead people toward change in the most productive and positive ways. I think we all have a lot to continue to learn from his life and his legacy.
Moving forward, what does this mean, and how can we continue what he represented?
I think we continue what he represented, by some of his favorite slogans, right? He said, keep hope alive. He talked about how I am somebody. And I think what we do is to understand that even in the midst of change, in the midst of struggle, or in the midst of unfortunate realities that might plague individuals and our collective, we must keep hope alive. And we must understand that we are all interconnected. That's what Jesse Jackson offered me. I think he offered that blueprint for all of us. And in order to do that work, we need to know and remember Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson. And we also need to understand that his legacy in many ways, was connected to what Martin Luther King wanted us to do in this world. And so that interconnectedness is really important, particularly today.
How are you helping your students kind of understand his legacy and continue to teach that at the university?
That's a really important question. I would say he used and embodied moral language to ignite and inspire change. And it's the type of inclusive and productive change. He was able to say, how do we teach and reach each other in the most powerful ways that we can see our differences and we can work and live in the midst of those differences as we seek to understand humanity, being humanizing, having this moral compass. And for our students on this campus, those are foundational to who we are. We teach our students to be participatory and collaborative. We teach our students to, dare I say, interrupt injustices and oppressions and hatred. And we also teach our students how to become the type of people, citizens, dare I say, that are citizens of the globe. And I believe that Jesse Jackson, his focus on voting and the rights of people really ring really powerfully for us, because that's what we want our students to engage in. And we want them to engage in civil discourse that allows us to really move forward collectively and collaboratively.
And we also did ask this to a few others here, but what is your famous speech that really sticks out with you? I know, running for president twice, he had some amazing speeches. What's one that stands out in your mind?
There's so many speeches that stand out for me. I would say, instead of a speech, it's probably the theme of healing and rebuilding, which was always a theme that for me surfaced in everything that he talked about. I think that he made stops to various university campuses. I mean, being a graduate of North Carolina A&T, being from Greenville, South Carolina, visiting Johnson C. Smith University and talking about voter registration, I think every speech he gave, at least for me, focused on access to high quality healthcare, education and educational attainment, and voter registration. And so for me, it's the theme of healing and rebuilding and continuing to heal and rebuild that resonates in everything that he said and everything that he did.
Awesome. Dr. Valerie Kinloch, thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate your take on everything, and as we continue to honor his legacy today.
Thank you for having me.